Greetings! You're just in time to hear about one of the most mysterious and misunderstood sections of Scripture, the Book of Revelation. I'm Dr. Archie Logical.
Archie, Archie, Archie Logical. Archie, Archie, Archie Logical.
The Book of Revelation, the final book of the Bible, a menagerie of menacing monsters and an astonishing assemblage of intense images. About 60 years after Jesus died and came back to life, John, a believer in Jesus, was exiled on the island of Patmos, where he saw a vision of what was really going on in the spiritual sphere. There were angels battling demons, dragons, and beasts rising from the sea, the sun, moon, and stars falling out of the sky. It was an apocalypse. These days, an apocalypse means the end of the world, but when Revelation was written, the word apocalypsis meant to reveal, to uncover. Like literally to take the lid off a container. Oh, peanuts! So, an apocalypse isn't necessarily the end of the world. It really just means what's going on behind the scenes. To reveal what's going on, hence the Book of Revelation. Now, we call it a book, but in fact, it was a letter sent to 7 small churches in the ancient world that were facing persecution. People who followed Jesus were being beaten, arrested, ruined, and in some cases even put to death at the hands of the ruthless Roman Empire. For many of these people, persecution must have felt like the end of the world as they knew it. By the way, every generation since Revelation was written has believed they were living in the end times, and so far, none of them were right. I mean, people also say irregardless when they only need to say regardless, since irregardless isn't a word regardless of what people say. Nothing gets my dander up like misused grammar. Anyway, believe it or not, John's letter, his revelation, may have been a source of great encouragement in spite of the persecution. When all hope seemed lost, believers in Jesus could remember they followed the Messiah, the rescuer, the King. Jesus had victory over suffering and death when he came back to life. And in a similar way, Christians could face their own suffering and death in this world, knowing they too would be brought back to life and that Jesus, their King, would ultimately win. They would still have to face challenges, hardship, persecution, and maybe even death. And all of that would seem scary at first. But here's the thing to remember about Revelation. Hope is not lost. No matter how scary or overwhelming this world can be, Jesus is still King, and he still wins at the end. Woohoo! And when Jesus returns, Revelation says he will make a new heaven and a new earth. And God will live united with us once more. All our suffering, all our sin, all our sadness, all of it will be gone and forgotten forever. That's the real point of Revelation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to devour this delicious date and dandelion dusted donut drizzled in duck sauce. This is disgusting.
Archie, Archie, Archie Logical.